History is littered with a long line of lovable but angry men. But one man rises above them all.
What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
And still they come. Migrants crossing the channel illegally in dangerous dinghies, ready to be embraced by the lunacy of Britain's balmy invitation to the world. Come one, come all, and stay as long as you like. Amid this mounting madness, we learn that advisers have warned Rishi Sunak that he has just 6 months to solve the crisis, or he is doomed to wipe out defeat at the next election. That much is surely true, but for all his theatrical determination and tough-talking announcements, what chance does the Prime Minister realistically have of stopping the boats? In 6 months? Or ever, for that matter. Admittedly, a slightly better chance than his predecessor, Boris Johnson, who was worse than useless on an issue that really matters to millions of long-suffering Brits who want sovereign borders and an end to this unsustainable migrant influx. If Sunak believes that his recent mysterious agreement to hand the French a staggering £500 million to patrol their own beaches is going to work, why is he simultaneously unveiling plans to billet thousands of migrants in disused air bases and on a vast floating sea barge? This isn't a permanent solution to the migrant crisis. It's a temporary solution to the fast-growing accommodation problem, a defeatist acceptance that since we can't stop them coming, we've got to put them somewhere. With nearly 500 migrant-packed hotels all over the country, costing taxpayers £7 million a day, all Rishi and his besieged gang are doing is trying to reduce the eye-watering nightly bill. Our dear leader insists that under his fabulous 5-point plan, all illegal migrants will be swiftly processed and refused permission to remain. So then what happens? They return to France, from whence nearly all of them came? Not possible, because despite pocketing Britain's massive £500 million cheque, Monsieur Macron continues to say no to taking back the migrants who set sail from France's northern shores. In other words, we, the Brits, are stuck with them. Oh, but there's the Rwanda scheme, they cry, under which asylum-seeking rejects will be flown to East Africa to consider their options. Great. When? When is this much-talked-about initiative going to get off the ground? And since a European Court of Human Rights judge blocked a plane from taking off last time round, who can guarantee this won't happen again? No one. Meanwhile, how are the French spending our £500 million? Are the channel crossings shuddering to a halt? Are the dinghies dramatically reducing in number? Are they hell? The only way to put the brakes on this ongoing invasion by undocumented foreigners, most of whom are young men between the age of 18 and 34, is to deter them, to send them a message that if they do succeed in reaching Britain, they will not succeed in staying. Instead, the message we're sending them is that although we might not be able to put them up in luxury hotels for much longer, they will still get free accommodation in air bases and on barges, as well as free food and £45 a week in benefits. Recently increased, by the way, from £40.85. They got a pay rise. And while Rishi huffs and puffs about the scourge of illegal migrants, they are not remotely treated as lawbreakers. While the gullible British authorities indulge their horror stories of fleeing war and torture, even when so many of them are clearly not fleeing war and torture, they are free to leave the barges and head ashore to do whatever they want. They're free to wander out of the air bases to do what they will. Thrust upon unsuspecting communities, thousands of young blokes milling around aimlessly is a recipe for disaster devised by a government whose only response is a desperate attempt to make the right noises. Rishi has 6 months to realise that no amount of tough talking will ever be enough. To solve the migrant crisis, we need action. We need to see the boats being stopped on French beaches, to get value for the mountain of money we gave them. We need to wave goodbye as the planes depart for Rwanda. We need to stop pandering to people who have no right to be here and to get rid of them, kick them out of our country. Anything less, and Sunak is sunk. Well, that's what I think. Let's find out what my guests this week think. They are, of course, Mark Saggers, legendary sports broadcaster of talkTV's Sunday Night Club. He's with us, and also Ben Loughnane from the Bow Group, a all-round political commentator, social commentator, and a member of the Bow Group think tank. Welcome, guys. You're a newcomer, Ben. What's your take on Rishi's chances of solving the migrant crisis in just 6 months?
Well, he seems to be very committed to the idea. He's said a lot about it, but the problem is he keeps coming up with these harebrained schemes to do it, these task forces, these new, schemes that he comes up with. What next? He's going to furlough the people smugglers. What's he going to come up with? You never know what's actually going to work. The big problem is that he's got a time limit. Eventually, people are going to get impatient, get sick of him, and say, right, sling your hook, mate.
What do you make, Mark, of this nonsense? In one breath, Rishi Sunak says, I'm going to stop the boats. If you turn up here and you're illegal, I'm going to turn you straight back and you're going to go back home. I'm going to get rid of you. And then at the same time announces, I'm seconding these air bases. I'm going to get a sea barge. Yeah. Well, that's not sending them back. That's putting them into accommodation.
Well, do you know what I think we should be doing? We should have a complete ban on anybody who wants to come to this country by crossing the water. End of.
Yeah.
Just, you can't come. We're not going to give you any money. We're certainly not going to house you. You're not going to be able to do this. You're not going to be able to do that. In fact, the reason is you're not going to be able to come. And if you do want to come in one of these boats, we'll just wave it past and you can go on the way to either Ireland or the Isle of Man. I don't care which, really. But no, we have got to stop them. And I would do this. I would close the gates for a year. Yeah, just close them.
I mean, it has to be that, doesn't it? Because, Ben, the problem is that it's all very well the Prime Minister saying, if they come here and they're illegal, they'll be sent straight packing, straight away, they'll be back to where they came. Well, first of all, we haven't got a returns deal with France, so where do we send them? And secondly, what is illegal? Because the immigration lawyers will say, once you're on our beaches, once they're on our beaches, and they claim political asylum, that makes them legal.
Yeah, as a principle, I completely agree with Mark that we need to say, if you come over by the Channel crossings, you should have a lifetime ban from ever applying for asylum here. You go through the proper routes or you don't come at all. And if you go over the water, that's it, your chances are gone. That would stop it overnight. The problem is, they come in, they aren't forthcoming about who they are. No. They've thrown their identification into the water on the way over here. You have no idea where to send them back to, where they're from, who they are. You can't turn around to France and say you've got to take them back, because France will go, no, we do not take them. So we end up in a situation where, on principle, yes, but it's not practicable.
And the real problem here is not those that are being housed at the moment, a lot of them in these various luxury hotels and elsewhere. It's those that go missing the moment they arrive here. These are the ones who disappear. So we're not going to be finding those anyway. We just have to stop the lot until we stop the rot.
Absolutely. Now, Rishi Sunak is giving the impression by omission, really. He's not really spelling out the details of what this new plan to put them in disused RAF air bases and onto a massive sea barge. He's letting us think, these people will be detained because they're illegal. They're not detained. No. We stick them on a barge. They're perfectly free to come ashore, do what the hell they want. Same as with the air bases. They can wander out and do what the hell they want. They're not detained. So we're going to put thousands of young men, mostly young men, into rural communities sometimes with nothing to do. It's a recipe for utter disaster, isn't it?
It's disgraceful. And, a lot of people don't know this, that actually these migrants are free to come and go as they please. The only reason they stay in the camps that they're being kept in, or the hotels, is because the quality of life is so good. They're getting 3 meals a day. They're getting, a nice warm room, a nice warm bed. They, shower and, clothed, all the rest of it. The fact that they're being put up in these hotels and they're not even trying to run away, I think proves that they're being treated pretty well, although the left-wing charities would have you think that they're in prison.
What is also happening with all of this, and I was queuing behind two of these guys who'd obviously just arrived in the country. They're trying to buy themselves coffee and stuff with credit cards that don't even work in this country. And the lady behind the bar there was intimidated. Nothing was being done with these two. Eventually they found they got some money, they got somebody else over. It was aggression from start to finish because they shouldn't have been there.
I think that it is right that Rishi Sunak's got about 6 months, if not less, to prove that he can beat this crisis, that he can solve the migrant crisis. And from what I'm seeing so far, I don't think he's got a chance in hell of that.
No.
What do you think?
I agree. I completely agree. I think his best move would be to get all these schemes started, then call an election straight away, because it's only going to go down in the polls when it's proven that they're not working. So he might still lose, but it's only going to get worse the longer it goes on, because as it bears out, people get sick of it.
Sags, quick one.
The thing for me is that within the next 30 years, migrants from Africa will just have to leave most of the top half of that country because, not of global warming because of our fault, but because the world is just warming up. I have spoken to Admiral Key 2 days after he was in the job about this very thing. Migrancy is going to be the massive problem that destroys the world, but we've got to start here by getting this little problem sorted. And it's easy. You can't come.
Yeah, lock the doors. Now, from a bad migrant policy to a bad ad.
Cute little dog you've got there. But hold on. In a previous life, he could have been George Washington. Nice cat. Perhaps Annie Oakley. And look at him. Why, it's Napoleon. Reincarnation. What human being was your pet in a previous lifetime? Master reincarnationist E. David Scott will tell you when you call this number. Just answer simple questions with your touch-tone phone. $1.95 per minute for entertainment only. Under 18, get permission. Call now. Learn who your pet was as a human in a previous lifetime.
I think that E. David Scott, right? So he's going to tell you who your pet was in a former life. I bet he never says, your pet was a non-entity or your little dog was actually a mass murderer,
Yeah.
Time now for anti-social media. This is the fan mail that I've received through the week. Let's take it away. Yeah, Ben, my fans, they like to post things on Twitter and Facebook, social media
Give
to
him
tell
stick,
me
Ben.
how much they like me. So
Give
here
him
we go.
stick,
Here's
Ben.
the first one. If Kevin O'Sullivan had a brain transplant, he would be dangerous. He is a colossal gammon. He is obsessed with Meghan Markle. He probably thinks you can grow concrete too. I do not think you can grow concrete. That's not me. That's someone else, right?
Yeah.
The great thing about that one, though, is that he doesn't think you're dangerous at the moment. And he's actually...
He's wrong about that.
He thinks you're evil but stupid.
I'd like to think I'm evil but not stupid, but you can't have everything. Right, here's number 2. Another complimentary tweet. Kevin O'Sullivan is Kevin O'Sullivan is a totally Get some peer-reviewed papers printed and then come back, you dopey tinfoil hat potato infantile non-entity. I know this guy. Will you stop tweeting about peer-reviewed papers, you idiot? That's all he goes on about. Get peer-reviewed papers to prove the point. Sod your peer-reviewed papers.
I think I sent that one in.
Yeah.
The old tin.
Okay, here's number 3. Kevin O'Sullivan is a woke Conservative Party puppet. If he loves Boris so much, why doesn't he marry him? A, I don't love Boris. B, I'm not a Conservative. And C, you're an absolute...
I tell you what.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that's a brilliant one, because I tell you what, with him, when he watches Fulham, you can tell he's awake, but he's not woke.
He's awake but not woke. Time now for the real break. What just happened? And now it's time for this. The best of bad TV, Gogglebox without the laughs, if you like. Now, this particular segment was devised by BBC Coventry to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Coventry market, which apparently is famous. I can't say I've ever heard of it, but the locals just love it. Listen to them.
Coventry market, all kinds of everything.
Something for anyone.
There's no comparison.
For genuine bargains, explore what's in store.
Confused or amused, just ask what it's for.
Treasure of wonders, exciting, enticing. every kind of bumping and all kinds of everything.
Well, if that doesn't get you to Coventry Market, I don't know what will. But during the war, the Second World War, of course, the city of Coventry suffered terribly at the hands of the Nazis, the constant terrible air bombing blitz. So the people of Coventry Market had a message for Adolf Hitler.
The night we watched our homes and livelihoods burn down.
The night they tried to kill our town.
See?
Now, you're not going to believe this.
Yeah.
You are not going to believe this, but Coventry Cable Television was one of the earliest TV satellite stations.
Oh, was it?
And my wife was the first news editor.
Really?
Having moved from the Coventry Evening Telegraph to Coventry Cable. And that was the nonsense that they were obviously doing. I can't wait to tell her.
Yeah. Did you know Coventry had a market?
Yes, I've been there once,
Have you?
and it was probably the worst trip of my life. I got there and I went, what on earth is going on here? But of course, it got bombed. Everything got destroyed, apart from the market. And they've got a lovely statue of Lady Godiva in the middle of the market. Who knew it was such an historic place?
Yeah, but is it a famous market? Is it?
I think it's only
Well, it
famous.
is now.
I think it's only famous because it didn't get bombed.
It's
you know.
the cathedral and what
Yeah.
is left
Oh, no, I know what
is very
happened, yeah.
poignant
Yeah.
and what have you. But Coventry Market, Kenilworth Market, all the other markets around there, they were just like that. They're modern markets. They're lovely people.
It is time for Vote for Me. And this is Bob Quast, and he wants to be the next senator of Iowa.
If you are the sexual predator and sociopath who murdered my sister Lynette, and you come to my front door to do harm to my girls, I'm going to use my Glock to blow your balls off. Liberals like Bruce Braley want to restrict our gun rights, including this magazine with 15 bullets. As Iowa's next U.S. Senator, I shall defend every piece of the U.S. Constitution. I am Bob Quast, just a simple problem solver from Iowa who never went to law school, but I did create and approve this video.
I'd hazard a guess that not only did Bob Quast not go to law school, he didn't go to school.
No, I'm shocked. What it said is Dem primary. Does that mean he's a Democrat? Because he doesn't sound like one.
That's not a Democrat, is it?
Although he does want to take a man's balls off, so maybe he is.
Iowa.
Can you imagine dating his daughter?
Not worth it. Although I would vote for him.
It's funny, though, Mark and I, we watch these every week, and the guns always loom large. It's always someone with a gun saying, vote for me. I mean, it is quite worrying that people like that stand a good chance of becoming senators. And
It's America. It's a very strange country. They've got some very weird adverts. Some of the ones that you see them prop up in America. I mean, we've had some pretty bad ones in the UK, but they're on a different level entirely.
Now, I'm going to close the show with a few thoughts on what's going on at our schools. Kids, the pupils in their charge, who decide they've got gender identity issues. So they go to their teachers and say, I think I might be in the wrong body, you know, that gender dysphoria thing. And the teachers don't tell the parents. That's outrageous.
It's disgusting, and I think, you know, the problem isn't so much about the gender issue, it's about the fact that the state presumes ownership of the children and guardianship of the children over the parents. So if something happens between the state and a student, so there's nothing to do with the parents, you don't matter, you don't need to know about what's going on with your kids. But I do worry about, you know, boy, girl used to be the seating plan in schools. Now it's just updating the gender fluid kids' student records every day. Boy, girl, back and forth. Yeah. It's getting ridiculous.
But the other thing that's going on, Mark, and I completely agree with you, I think the essential issue here is who brings up children, mums and dads or the state? And I know what my answer is.
Absolutely,
it's the former, not the latter. Also, though, Mark, remember this. Gillian Keegan, the Education Secretary, has ordered an urgent inquiry, not only to this, keeping mums and dads in the dark about their kids' gender issues, which is a disgrace, but also the sort of thing that is being taught to kids as young as 10. And when I say that, I mean teachers have been teaching 10-year-old kids about oral sex, about hardcore pornography, about trans issues, saying there are 73 different genders when there's no such thing. It's outrageous, isn't it?
We need a real clear out here. There has to be confidentiality for teenage girls in particular, at times when they come from difficult areas and homes and they've said something in private to one of their teachers that is pastoral and important. But what's happening here, there's infiltration into the whole of our education system that just wouldn't have been allowed before. So they just get on with all of this sort of things. There are charities that they're using now to bring in all of these people to tell you about, you know, that you're not really a girl, you're not really a boy, you can be one of 72 different
Don't tell your mum
genders
and dad.
and everything. Don't tell your mum and dad. Bunkum!
Sadly, our time is up for this week. Thank you very much to Mark Saggers and to Ben Loughnane. When teachers decide not to tell parents that their children are questioning their genders, is it just me? Or is there something profoundly wrong going on here? On what possible basis do teachers in state schools, or any schools for that matter, believe they have the right to keep mothers and fathers in the dark? To somehow presume that they know what's best for the pupils in their classrooms and the concerns of loving mums and dads are secondary? To preposterously propose that the privacy rights of little kids overrule the rights of parents to bring them up autonomously, without interference. It doesn't always work out perfectly, but it's the age-old organic system that, for the most part, functions well because the vast majority of responsible, right-thinking grown-ups will instinctively do a great job of raising their offspring. It's the way of the world. Mums and dads must always be in charge of their charges, not the teachers, not the schools, and shout it from the rooftops, never the state. Amid this dystopian nightmare, it is reported that children are being allowed to self-identify their chosen gender at school without the knowledge of their parents. At one Scottish school, staff were ordered to keep the secrets of 12-year-olds who did not want their parents to know about the life-altering decision they have made at such an early age. In the light of this sinister situation, Education Secretary Gillian Keegan has ordered an urgent independent review into just exactly what is going on behind closed classroom doors. In other disturbing news, a shocking expose by the Policy Exchange think tank revealed that as well as encouraging confused kids to change, teachers have been giving youngsters graphic lessons in lust about oral sex, how to choke your partner, hardcore porn, and the fashionable hogwash of 72 genders. That grown adults need to be told that this is wildly inappropriate and deeply disturbing is astonishing. What kind of people fail to understand that defiling the innocence of little children is a terrible thing to do? Why, in the name of God, are employees of the state sexualising 10-year-olds? Why, in the name of God, do they have to be instructed that they shouldn't be doing this? Surely, in the name of common decency, it's glaringly obvious. Never forget, they're your children, not the state's. You make the decisions about their well-being, not the state. When you send them to school, you have a right to expect that their interest will be protected by guardians who understand their responsibilities. For porn-pushing teachers to foist adult material onto children in their formative years is a disgrace. For schools to conspire with kids to cut parents out of the natural narrative of their upbringing is a national scandal, and it has to stop. What just happened?
It's time for That Was the Woke That Was.
The topical quiz show that goes through all of the wokest stories of the week.
She has been fame hungry from the get-go.
Saturdays at 9 on talkTV.